getting horny is a little bit about feeling safe enough to do so, right? But also in our society, the only thing that we have kind of that's in a similar vein is marriage. And for a lot of different reasons, marriage is really shitty for some people, right? Yeah. All of these things are shitty for some people. But in order to explore them, Omegaverse does this cool thing where it makes it so ridiculous that it doesn't trigger the same kind of...
Hello and welcome to Our Flag Means Fanfiction. I am your friendly podcast ghost, Tessa. I've taken over hosting duties from Carly this week. There's been a coup. It's a very brutal coup. Carly is tied up so that we can do Omegaverse 2, the Omegaverse-ing. Yeah, so essentially we realized there was so much we hadn't covered. It's such a rich and interesting genre of fan fiction, and so we had to come in for another pass. So joining us, we have, of course, the marvelous Carly Heath, who is currently tied up in her living room, as I said.
Willingly tied up.
Willingly tied up.
The ropes are very comfortable. They're very soft.
Yes, exactly. Lovely Japanese bondage rope. It's very silky. It's very smooth. And so Carly will be standing in for our Omega virgins in the audience.
I'm here to ask the dumb question that everyone is thinking but is afraid to ask. I will ask them.
There's no such thing as dumb questions.
I was going to say there's no such thing as dumb questions, but honestly, in this context, there are only dumb questions. So go for it.
Fair. Sorry, I retract my statement.
Yes.
There's just...
Everything is dumb. Okay. So we also have Ringa's son, Actual Delight, definitely not an Omega virgin.
Nope.
And once again, we have the incredible Dr. Omegaverse. Dr. Omegaverse, welcome.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
I just have to say, this is my first time being live with Ringa after our last Omegaverse episode, where Ringa asserted very clearly that Biden was not going to step down. And I said, not with that attitude.
But it happened with that attitude anyway.
You know what? I am very rarely wrong, but
on this one singular issue.
But I'm very delighted to be wrong this time.
And this is where we do the I was right.
Yeah.
I was right because I know the universe and the stars and the planets, and I knew he was having a Mars-Uranus conjunction in his 6th house. And that means you, Ringa, you do the I was wrong dance.
Oh, no, there's no such thing. All I know is that I've seen lots of pictures of his ear recently.
And his ear looks okay.
It looks pretty goddamn intact.
I accidentally had a conversation with someone who had been to the rally. So, you know.
Really?
It's less than an hour away from me and Ringa.
Very, very close.
It's next door.
Really what did they say? Yeah. Do they think it was a fake conspiracy, or do you think...
Well, I don't trust anything this particular person said.
I mean, yes. How do you end up...
Yeah.
But what does this person say? I just want to hear from someone who is there.
Oh, they were just very enthusiastically talking about how it went and how terrifying it was and how,
I'm sure it was awfully terrifying for everybody who was attending.
I would freak the fuck out if I was at a thing and there were gunshots. I would
you would duck immediately, right? You would duck immediately, not
I would duck, and it would take 50 people to pull me up off the ground.
Right.
It would be 3 hours would pass, and I'm not getting up.
You wouldn't have a delay
unless there is a bulletproof chamber constructed around me.
Yes.
That rolls with me as I walk to my car.
Someone pointed out recently how we have not seen any of the cell phone footage from the people who were standing behind him.
Also interesting, the local authorities are refusing to release the 911 calls, so technically there is a law which states that sort of unless they're subpoenaed, then they won't release them. However, there is a carve-out within that law that states that if it is in the public interest, they should release them. It is very much if the attempted shooting of a presidential candidate doesn't count as in the public interest.
It's very interesting.
And I don't know if this is still happening, but Trump still hasn't met with the FBI to be interviewed about the assassination.
We should just move on.
Regardless of what we want, we have Politics Corner in the beginning of this now.
The cold open is...
kind of...
I mean, the world is exploding right now.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I do, as a last thing, though, I do really enjoy that the media news cycle has taken the stance of psychological warfare against VP or what is his the
Oh, Vance?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The couch
this
stuff.
guy can't
Couch
get
and
enough of
porn.
it.
Yeah.
Bless.
Massively viral thing.
Yes.
Dolphin porn? Apparently the dolphin
Dolphin
porn is real?
No.
Yeah.
It's some sort of, yes,
Oh.
there was this showed like he was doing spicy searches for fucking dolphin porn.
Somebody was, if this was in the UK, they would have reporters following him around dressed as dolphins and couches. And we really need to step it up here in America.
We should,
Seriously,
yeah.
seriously. Fandom news wrap up. So we've had a con in Raleigh that seems to have gone pretty well. Christian has apparently informed all of us that con kisses like a washing machine. It's super wet.
Yeah.
I always had the impression that was just a lean-in little grandma kiss.
I mean,
I
we don't
mean,
know what's
I
not
have
been
to-
showed.
If they say if Christian is saying it's super wet, I have to assume that there was tongue. I mean, what else would the wetness be? I mean, I know they're on the ocean, but
Just lots of slobber.
yeah, just full licking each other's face.
Also, Con signed a picture. Did you see the Jick picture that Con signed? That says Sprizzy. And
Yes.
Nathan just signed it, something simple, and Con wrote, Nathan is clearly gagging for it. And then the person went and took it back to Nathan, and Nathan said something, if I was locked in a room with General Gaddafi and Con, and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I'd shoot Con twice.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's so good.
Beautiful.
Con talked about Nathan's thighs a lot this weekend, too, because he was very
Yes.
short. So it's a big win for the Sprizzy people. Big win. Yeah.
We keep winning. We keep on winning.
I'm trying to think of during the panel if we learned anything. They asked what the legacy of the show would be, and Vico said the fandom, and Nathan said, yeah, we won the award for the most annoying fan.
Yes.
Of course we do.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah, so there's lots of little good bits. I feel we didn't learn anything too crazy. We found out that Nathan got a hold of the script for episode 10 before the rest of the cast did, and found out that he was being killed off and was freaking out.
And then David took him aside and was, you're not really dead.
You're not really dead, and who did you find this out from? Nathan says he didn't narc.
Respect.
And then there was a lot of questions about whether a hot dog is a sandwich and what was their favorite desserts and stuff which is, I love those questions at a panel.
I dislike those questions. I'm sorry. I want to know about your craft. That's the type of person that I am. I mean, I don't want to know your birth time, or I want to know what your approach to acting and comedy is, so I can learn from you.
Yeah,
I want to know your craft, but I also want nonsense. In my heart of hearts, all that nonsense.
Yeah, the answers to that question are them showing their ad-lib craft.
This is true.
Well, they also did what was your favorite scene to film and stuff like that. So, they did some of the real questions. But the hot dog one has inspired a lot of drama on Twitter. Fake drama, which is the best kind.
Nice. Nice.
Can we talk about the Screen Rant article that just dropped today?
I haven't seen it. Tell me about it.
So the Screen Rant article is a bunch of it's a list of shows that have a good chance of coming back. And Our Flag Means Death is one of them. And the article writes, Our Flag Means Death could make a comeback. After its initial cancellation on Max, the series was shopped to a few other streamers, but none picked it up at the time. However, the door is open for the possibility in the future. Our Flag Means Death is one of the best period romance TV shows of the 2020s, alongside iconic series like Bridgerton and The Great. Waititi's show stood out among the rest because of how dedicated it was to creating positive and relatable LGBTQ plus representation that was seamlessly worked into the story. There is more interest in shows like Our Flag Means Death every day. And if Waititi's latest project, Time Bandits, is a success, it could mean Our Flag Means Death could be reevaluated for additional seasons. Now, I'll reassert that is just a journalist writing whatever the fuck they want. There's no sources cited here, but it has caused the fandom to clown. And I just made a point of replying and tagging David Jenkins in it, saying, oh, so patiently. What did I say? I said waiting patiently for David Jenkins to retweet this with little eyeball emoji.
A good chunk of the fandom has never stopped clowning. There has never been a cease of clowning. But yeah, I've noticed there's a bunch of it. Anytime any little thing happens, anytime David Jenkins tweets or replies or anything, the whole fandom on Twitter is, and it's a fan art. Season 3. So
yeah, he has been posting a lot of fan art lately.
Yeah.
He's been very active on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then, he posted a tennis ball and asked people if it's neon green or neon yellow. And
right. Someone start fights.
Someone shared a screenshot of that and said he's asking neon green as a signal to mean green light. Season 3 has been greenlit.
Oh boy.
Bless.
Now, the thing is, a lot of these people who are clowning really know they're clowning, but some of them don't.
That's yeah.
That's the thing is, some of them are like, no, but really, green. Do you understand? Green. Oh, no, I didn't see that screenwriter article, but that's great. You know how I feel about.
Oh, and this week I think Khan is showing up on Time Bandits as the Sheriff of Nottingham. I'm very excited for that.
Amazing.
Yes. He's I think so good at angry little man.
I was going to say it's such a good role for him. It's perfect.
Yes, and I sent him a picture of Reese as Robin Hood from that cell phone ad he did, and was get ready for the Stizzy AU. So
okay,
I love the idea of the real Sheriff of Nottingham with this cartoon Robin Hood that has come in from another dimension.
Yeah,
an actor playing Robin Hood, and they have to.
I mean, Sheriff is to be very cartoonish too.
Yeah,
being that this is a comedy and Tyke, is involved in all that, so it's going to be very funny. I just
will get to choose some scenery.
Yeah, and he's very good at that, but he doesn't get always to do the comedy stuff as much. He gets a lot of the sad dying gaze. So
we need to give him more happy living gaze.
Happy living gaze. Yeah. So good times.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I feel I'm doing this out of order. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got
order here.
You're right. What the fuck do I think I am? So I'm gonna give. There's a quick bit of validation from strangers on the internet. A nice comment that we got from someone called Rose Maris, who wrote, "Thanks for such a fun episode and podcast. As an older boomer, I'm not surprised Hattie's mom is a fan. We may be quiet, but there are more of us in OFMD and other fandoms than people may think." So that's about the Silly Voices episode, which was so much fun. The guest.
Hey, boomers, we love to hear from you. If you're a boomer or a Gen Xer, write in. And also just out there, people, write in. Tell us your thoughts about this show.
Yes.
Share it with your friends. Post about it on the internet. You guys, the show is a bunch of bullshit. Don't watch it. Post that too. I don't care. Why did I say watch it? It's a podcast.
I was going to say, I don't know.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
No. Peel your eyeballs and stare at your screen and watch the little sort of the green as it goes across. That's how you do it while you're churning butter, right?
Right. While you're churning butter. That was the thing. Yeah, post on Twitter and tell us who your favorite host is.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so what is the most gay pirate thing that has happened to you this week? Anybody?
I will say, this wasn't this past week, but the Pornathon happened a week and a half ago. And so that was...
You stole mine. How dare?
Well, we can do them together because,
cool.
I mean, it is honestly the most gay pirate thing. Otherwise, I've just been trying to make money and do the hustle, and it's, it's bullshit. So we got to go to porn. Exactly. Only day I'll do, Carly. Pornathon happened. It was super fun. Athena got very drunk.
It was very
kept buying her shots, and we were up on these tall chairs, and she kept almost falling off them. It was great. So every time we do one of these, it gets a little bit better, and we have a little bit more better tech things. And next time, you might actually be able to see us on the live stream and hear us and all that.
I was trying to watch the live stream. It was comforting background noise. I couldn't understand anything that was happening, but I had it playing while I was.
We did get really good audio of it though, because the audio that was going into the microphones was not what was being played on the computer, but someone who knows sound did get a really good audio recording of us, and they're making cassettes out of it.
Cute.
I know, right? So, but if you
how do you play a cassette?
Well,
are there machines?
I have a Home Alone 2 Talk Boy that
hell yes.
But if you watch the live stream or came to the show, you'll get an audio recording of the show. So you can listen to it with, actual being able to hear everything that's happening. And there was one Our Flag Means Death story, and I am going to edit it a little bit and send it to Carly to post as one of our minis for this show, which will be super fun. But Jasper was called out as Dr. Omegaverse by their sister.
I did very much enjoy. There was, I think, one or two.
There was only one Omegaverse.
Yeah. And she got all the way through it, halfway through it, and was just, okay, who doesn't know what Omegaverse is? And everyone raised their hands. And I was just, cool. Well, there's no, we're not going back. We're not.
Right.
Well, we need to tell them to listen to this podcast.
Yeah. I do think I mentioned this podcast.
Yeah.
And then I think Athena mentioned it too. But yeah, it was very funny.
So I put in 2 prompts because I hate my sister,
These were about Sesame Street and Veggie Tales.
Yeah.
Legend.
It was quite amazing.
So porn with Sesame Street and
Veggie Tales.
And the Cookie Monster.
Yeah.
And then the Veggie Tales one was the Where's My Hairbrush, which was done very well. Both of them were done very well.
Yeah. The
very
Hairbrush
well
one
written.
I didn't write. It was the only thing in any of all the marathons that I didn't write. And our friend Mara wrote it because she's a little more familiar with the Veggie Tales stuff, and she loves writing song parodies. So yeah, Athena sang along this Hairbrush song. In the show, the hairbrush ends up, a peach has it. When they're looking for this hairbrush and a peach has it, so Mara's it's already in a butt.
Yep.
Yeah. So when she started reading the Our Flag Means Death one, she was, is this another Omegaverse one? Because I can't handle. There's been so many, and there's one. Yeah, it was good.
So you need to have an all Omegaverse pornathon now.
Yep, that's the goal.
Eventually, we're going to have to start doing themes. And this next one that's coming up will be in December, because we're going to have to just start doing some kind of theming. Penises in the same old holes.
About how many people show up to these things?
We had a pretty good turnout for this one.
This one was interesting. I'm not sure, because the other 2 we sold out, but they were at the bar, which is much smaller. And this one was at a bigger space. So we had brought all these extra chairs in from outside, and there was lots of chairs. I know that we sold over 50 tickets before the event started, and then we had some, sell at the door and everything. So it was good. And also, while this is going on, there's a projector where the bartender has looked up filthy fan art of these things, and it plays.
I want to see the fan art.
We're gonna send
it really elevated
audio
the literature.
And next time we're gonna have the stream set up so that you can see the fan art as it's going, and you can hear us, and you can see us. It's gonna be amazing.
Amazing. Nice.
So yeah, that's both me and Jasper's gay pirate thing of the week.
Amazing. Okay, Carly, what is the most gay pirate thing that happened to you?
So I have to be vague because I don't want to make a HIPAA violation here, but a person who's involved in the show had brain surgery this week. And leading up to it, she was understandably very nervous about the whole thing. I was doing my usual woo-woo astrology, psychic stuff. And I let her know that her father was around protecting her. And she was like, I'm not feeling it. And I said, what is his favorite color? And she's like, green. And I'm, well, does he have a favorite car? And she's like, he used to love Jaguars. I'm okay. He's going to show you a green Jaguar to let you know that he's around. He's protecting you. He's watching over you so that everything's going to be okay. And so as she was getting ready for her appointment and everything, she's getting groceries to prepare for resting and everything. At the grocery store, she sees an antique green Jaguar in the parking lot. So, that's a nice, promising thing, right? Oh. And then when she went to go pick up her cousin who was taking care of her during her surgery at the airport, she passed a school that was home of the Jaguars. Oh, that's another little positive thing. And then as I was walking to feed my sheep in the morning, I step on something as I'm crossing a bridge, and I look down, and it's a little green child's car, a little matchbox car. And I pick it up, and it says Jaguar on the side.
That's
it's a little green Jaguar. So I take I've never seen a little child's car on the sidewalk while I'm crossing a bridge before. This is weird. So I take a picture of it, and I send it to her. And I said, look what I just found. And she said, oh my gosh, you just sent this to me as I was meditating. And so I was in this very open, relaxed space as I'm getting ready for my surgery. And then I get a notification on my phone and I see that you've sent this picture of this green jaguar. Ooh, the universe, right? But it is funny. Once she's all recovered and everything, there's been setbacks. The surgery's all over with now, but she's still in the hospital recovering from stuff. And so there's a group chat with all of her friends, and I cannot wait for her to be better because I want to write a 5-minute comedy set about her brain surgery and recovery. Everyone is, I'm going to give a fake name. Oh, Tina, she's so strong. She'll get through this. She's so strong. And no, she's not. Do you not know our friend? Our friend is the biggest baby. Who are you even talking about? Our friend cries at every bad thing that happens. But it also made me wonder if I ever have a medical emergency, what is everyone going to be saying about me? Because I really hope no one's saying, oh, Carly's strong. She'll get through this. No, I won't. No, I'm not. I'm not strong. Anyway, I'm strong and going to get through this. You do not know me, and you are exposing yourself as someone who does not know who I really am. I am a baby.
You're strong.
I'm not going to get through any sort of emergency on the strength of my own will. I need a team of doctors around me. I gave up as soon as the bad thing happened. I gave up and I've decided to die. And the only way I'm surviving is if the absolute best medical experts do what they have to do to bring me back from the dead.
Carly, I promise you that if it ever comes up, I will tell everybody that you are such a baby. You cannot handle this. I will tell everyone. I will be in the hospital. Listen to me. You're gonna have to do something because it's over.
This bitch is not resilient. Okay, so
this is the last straw. Listen.
Oh, but it's so funny what your friends say about you when you're unconscious and junk.
Not this week, a couple of weeks ago. So Stampede, I had never been to Stampede. And the only reason I went this one evening is because Orville Peck was playing. And the thing is, so the way it works at Stampede, you don't have to pay for a ticket to the concert. You pay for entrance to the fairground, and then you can just go to the concert. And I was like, amazing. This is much cheaper than a normal Orville Peck concert, especially my friend and I got a nice discount somehow. I don't know. She did something magical.
What is, hold on, tell me what is Stampede?
It's a rodeo. It's awful.
It's a big festival. It is sort of built largely around gross rodeo shit. There is also just general fairground stuff. So there are rides and there are concerts, just a bunch of food festivals and
I was picturing running with the bulls through Calgary.
I wish that they would just let the bulls loose on the cowboys. That would be great, actually. But no, so I wasn't anywhere near where anything was happening with animals, and that's you have to pay more for that. That's several $100s to go.
Your magpies?
Yes, those are my magpies. There's also some sort of concert, I think, happening somewhere in my neighborhood. So if you hear something that sounds like the howling of the damned, it's that. But anyway, so I agreed to go to see Orville Peck play with my friends. So I get my cute outfit, I meet my friend Tarini, and we go and we get our cheap sort of entry to the fairground tickets, and we walk over and we find my friend Sam and her new boyfriend, Jeff, that rare creature, a heterosexual man who I did not wish had been left in his crate. He was a delight.
Wow, whoa.
I know. Oh, I know. Yes. I've met him several times now, and he's been delightful every time.
Jesus.
He often makes jokes about men, not in a weird performative way, but just in a genuinely comfortable way. And I'm just
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought that those were extinct by now.
Just full.
Anyone really heterosexual anymore, though?
Yeah, I was
exactly
at the party I was at yesterday. I was unfortunately surrounded by lots of straight men.
I'm sorry.
But in those situations, my favorite joke is to be just, well, don't worry, there's always time. There's always time. You keep working on it. Someday you'll be comfortable enough.
Yeah. You just got to keep trying. You got to keep trying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we meet up. We meet up with that. We meet up. Noah Cyrus is opening for him, which is lovely. She's great. She's an amazing ass. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but she does. It's an amazing ass. Anyway, she's a very good singer. Anyway, so she opens, and then Orville Peck comes on, and we're just enjoying the concert, and it's a nice vibe. It's a pretty chill vibe. It's obviously a much queerer crowd than you would usually get at Stampede. And about 3/4 of the way, maybe halfway through the concert, suddenly, somehow, out of fucking nowhere, these two fucking dudes materialize in front of me. And
someone let them out of the crate.
Oh man, they should not have.
This is why we need a curfew.
A curfew for
this man.
They're wearing their fucking muscle tanks. One of them's got his cowboy hat. The other one is giving full Patrick Bateman wannabe energy. I think that guy was actually in a button down. It was fucking hot as hell. It was a heat wave. I was like, go fuck yourself in your button down. The problem was not the button down. The problem was the man. These fuckers. These fucking fuckers. They were on so much fucking coke. They were just, that energy. Most of the crowd is having a chill time, vibing, and these fucking assholes are just there to be dicks. So they're just screaming and woohoo and making weird kind of homophobic jokes. And I'm just, okay, I'm going to ignore these stupid fucking men. I'm going to ignore these fucking men. Now, right in front of me, there are a couple of very sweet queer kids. I don't know, 19, 20, maybe. Honestly, I would have guessed 17, but one of them had a vape. Could still be 17. But little babies in their Stampede uniform. They're wearing their
Stampede
gay
uniform.
cowboy outfit. The cowboy, this is the Stampede uniform. It's much better than what the straight people are wearing, but it's the
I'm
Stampede
picturing
vibe.
Lil Nas X.
Yes, perfect. Amazing. And I can see that one of them is sort of just really sort of bothered by this. And I don't blame them. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm so old and I'm so tired that I will just ignore these motherfuckers. This kid, I don't blame him. He can't. And so he finally turns around and he looks at these guys really at an Orville Peck concert. And fucking Patrick Bateman immediately starts escalating it and just getting in the kid's face. And I'm just, oh, fuck, God damn it, shit. And then he grabs the kid. And at that point, I am just, no, thank you. And so obviously, I don't really have a clear picture of what exactly happened because I was too busy being inside of it. Speaking to my friends afterwards, they were behind me, so they couldn't entirely see what was going on until apparently I lunged for Patrick Bateman. So basically, he had grabbed this kid. I lunged for him. I sort of shoved my arms in between them and sort of pulled the kid away and shoved this fucker. He sort of was just, still being a dick. This fucking asshole. Listen, man, you need to fuck off. You're being a dick. And this asshole looks at me and he says, who do you think you are? At which point I say, I'm the bitch who's going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
which is when security turned up, actually.
Set your magpie army after him.
Right? Yes.
That's
next
what you
time.
need to do is train them to just be in your jacket and just...
Yeah.
Apparently what was happening behind me, because basically as soon as I lunged for Bateman, my friend Sam, who is, I love her so much, she's so fucking spicy, she was immediately trying to sort of come to my aid, but the cowboy hat motherfucker was blocking her and being, no, fuck off, and she looked him dead in the eye and she said, I will kill you. And she then flagged down security, and they came over and they couldn't do much, but they basically stood there and made sure that the guys didn't fuck with anybody else for the rest of the few minutes of the concert. It was slightly awkward because Orville Peck, it was basically the last song, and at the end, is everything okay out there? What is happening? And I was, on the one hand, I would like to explain this to you. On the other hand, I am just going to stand here quietly and contemplate murder.
You should have been, there's dicks over here, Orville.
I fucking thought about it. I was this close.
Excellent.
But yes,
good job,
that was
God,
my one
for being a badass.
Yes. And good job for not actually murdering anyone.
Is that a good job, though?
It was, because you'd be in jail right now, probably.
Would I, though?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, were the security also straight white men?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you probably would be.
No. But here's the thing. Yes, that works to my disadvantage. However, I am a conventionally attractive lady. I can get away with man. I can get away with a lot. I do get away with a lot.
Yeah, it's true. So maybe. You never know. but it would probably have been slightly annoying
fair
for you.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
really-
it would have been a pain in the ass. I'm doing a lot of shit. I'm moving. I don't have time. Yes.
No
No,
time
fair
for
enough.
it.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, so right. What? Okay. Yes. Okay. So moving on. Sorry,
Now let's get into
I am trying to host with alacrity, and I know I'm failing to do that. So
That's what editing is for.
Yeah, we'll get it in post. I won't get
reiterate
post.
enough.
I'm so sorry, Carly.
This is not a serious podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good enough. So on to our main topic of discussion. Very serious. Omegaverse, the Omegaversening discussion. So starting off. What did we miss last time?
So much.
I know
So much.
everything. Okay. So does anybody want to start? Does anybody want to jump in with their?
And the first thing I noticed was we didn't talk about bond marks at all.
Yeah.
Which is wild because that's in almost every
The
damn
whole thing, man.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's a bond mark?
So go ahead, Dr. Omegaverse.
Yeah, let's hear it. Come on, Doc.
Well, okay, so when an alpha and omega love each other very much,
Like each other very much.
love them very much,
Each other for the first time.
love each other, yeah.
But they do it a lot. This is once is very much.
Yeah.
So sometimes it comes along with scent glands that are supposed to be pheromone things. Sometimes it's just random biting. But yeah, if the alpha evidently, and also I've seen it both ways, alpha and omega, bites the other or each bite each other. And then that heals into a long-term mark, which is a sign of their bond together. Usually it happens in the middle of sex or right at the end of sex.
Climax.
Yeah.
Climax.
Does it happen the first time
With-
they have sex, or
It can. I mean, but
Sometimes.
not necessarily.
It's
Yeah.
more supposed to be something. So usually there's a scent gland, a bond thing on. It's usually on the neck.
Sending
And-
off sexy pheromones.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're in a heat and you don't want to have a bite mark, you get the little fucking collar things.
Yeah.
Love those.
Or heat blockers. Sometimes it's written as a sort of balm that you smear on
Yeah.
to block the
Yeah.
scent.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
usually this spot on the neck is very sensitive, touching or
A lot of
whatever.
stuff.
Lots.
I'm very pro.
And
yes.
generally, when the alpha, let's say, bites the omega's bonding gland, they break the skin and it bonds them together. And we didn't talk much about bonds last time either, but this is usually something. And it depends on the universe, but in a lot of Omegaverse, it is a permanent thing where you're now bonded together and
you have a quasi-psychic or emotional connection where you can sort of either, some people write it where you can literally hear each other's thoughts. Some people write it where you get some of each other's memories. Sometimes you just get sort of a sense of what the other person is feeling, a sense of their proximity, which can even be sort of painful if your mate is too far away from you. Yeah.
But it's a massive thing for especially during heat. If you're bonded, you can feel each other's
The horniness.
pleasure and yeah.
It's a feedback loop, yeah.
So it's
Hell yes.
generally you don't bond unless you're mate and you want to have this permanent attachment, but it's part of the alpha's instinct to mate and bond with the omega. So there's so much fanfic where, oops, I bit you. Oops,
Now we're mystically
accidental.
married
It's
forever.
very much, oh no, I got too horny while I was fucking you, and
Yeah.
now we're linked forever.
Yeah. Or in the case of Seed, it's always, are you sure I can bite you? Are you sure? Are you sure you want this? Is it okay? Do it. And Izzy's like, fucking do it, Jesus Christ.
so it's
But-
always the alpha biting the omega?
No.
Not always, yeah.
It can, so it can go both ways. I've seen fics where an alpha just has an omega spine mark. I've seen fics where sort of it can go both ways, and sometimes even where the bond isn't complete if it doesn't go both ways. And it
So they
depends on the
both have to
universe.
bite each other's glands.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to bite each other's glands.
And sometimes the beta is involved too, depending
Yes.
on the universe. The beta can
Yeah.
also be bonded with everybody. But usually it's where either you can't break the bond or
It
breaking
will be
it is,
horrifically
extremely painful and detrimental emotionally.
and possibly fatal. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's that's some really good storytelling when, for example, in pirate stories, your Omega has been kidnapped. Oh no, your Omega is being tortured on another ship and you can feel it. And, you know, it's such good fodder for
angst.
Yes, and the fact that then the Alpha is fucking
losing their shit. It kind of urgency. A lot of Omegaverse, I think, is about that sense of urgency, both in terms of, I think, the relationship and the emotional aspects, and in terms of the fucking. It's all just very urgent, emergency.
Like, they need it.
Yeah.
I need it. I need breathing. You know. But yeah, the bonding can be something that's very romantic and familial. You know, now we're a part of a group, of a family, and but also I said it's there's a lot of oops, we bonded because I just bit you, oops, you know. So
and then you get the angst of that, and sort of, but then also that's great fodder for kind of a slow burn where you have the people kind of like falling in love as a result of sort of having this sense of each other and this connection with each other, even though neither of them wanted it, but then they kind of do want it, but then can they admit that they want it?
And there's some universes where you bond when the Alpha knocks the Omega, and it's not necessarily to do with the bond mark, but then there's also sometimes you can only mate or bond when the Omega's in heat or whatever. There's all these rules depending on who's writing it.
Sometimes you can also get to those situations where you don't have a bite, but a kind of bond can form over the course of a long-term sort of paired relationship, even if you don't have that official bite, which again, great angst fodder. Incredible. Yeah. So good.
Our flag means death, with specifically surrounding steady hands. There is so much delicious, just where Izzy is an Omega and he's Ed's mate, but they're not bonded, so people don't know, or you know, that's a point of ridicule for Izzy, that his Alpha won't bond with him or mark him, or Steve doesn't know that they're a pair because Izzy doesn't have a bond mark from Ed. So that's, you know, and then there's often Ed being, well, I didn't realize that you wanted me to, because he's an idiot.
So dumb. They're all so dumb.
And he's like, oh, I didn't think you wanted me that way, and Ed, I didn't think you wanted me that way, and that's why they need to come in and be like, everybody's bonding everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. And Steed is usually in the fix a incredibly caring and attentive Alpha, which generally they are supposed to be, but they are not always. But Steed is, of course, that kind where he's taking care of the Omega to every extent he possibly can.
And I think that's also something that works interestingly in terms of the social structure with OFMD Omegaverse Fix, because I think what we see is often you have a culture that sort of talks about Omegas as though they sort of should be protected and cared for and all of these things, but a lot of aspects of our culture, it doesn't actually work out that way. So, you know, you alphas actually generally treat them as shit. And so then what happens when you've got Steed in that role is you've got a guy who is so autistic that he's absorbed the messages about I'm supposed to protect and take care of this person, and he actually takes them seriously and believes it and does it. And that's the Steed Bonnet Omegaverse magic.
Think about how society here views typically women who have many sexual partners versus a woman or person who is pregnant and seems so chaste then, and so something that you need to coddle and
very ironic, because I mean, how do you get pregnant?
Right. That's a lot what happens with the Omegas and stuff is, oh, you're such a fucking slut, you know, when it's a complete biological thing for them. And they're not fucking themselves, it's the Alphas. You know, it takes two to fucking not. And so,
but it's in that kind of, that's the way they kind of unpack that societal bullshit, and that's the way it's sort of, they kind of explore slut shaming and all of that through sort of the Omegas and through the way that they are treated. And yes, it's great, it's amazing, it's horny as fuck.
It is.
What else do you need?
But the bites and the bonding and the you know, all that tends to go when you're more involved than having casual sex, you know.
Yes, or if you're not more involved, you're about to be.
You're about to be. And sometimes we talked a little bit about scent last time.
Yeah,
but we didn't
not a ton. I love it's okay. It's one of the things that makes these fics so tactile and so sort of sensual, because I don't know, I feel everybody kind of imagines, you get to imagine really interesting and really sort of kind of beautiful and complex scents sort of to assign to these characters that sort of say something about who these characters are. And I don't know, for me, I fucking love perfume and cologne, and I love scents and smelling things. And so it's such a pleasure for me to be able to imagine, okay, if Izzy is an Omega, what does he smell? If Steed is an Alpha or an Omega or a Beta or whatever, what does he smell?
What do authors usually associate smell-wise with each character?
I think it really depends on the author. Oh, Ringa, you go.
But Ed is often, he smells tobacco and
vetiver, cannabis, sort of rich, dark, sort of often rather masculine scents. Some sea salt in there. There's often sea salt because they're fucking pirates.
Steve smells like flowers and linens and shit. You know?
Sometimes some spices. I throw in some cardamom, some rosemary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Izzy usually has
woods. I give him woods, cedar, incense. So those like slightly sharper notes. Yeah.
There's a lot. People give Izzy sweet scents a lot.
I go with woodsy scents because those are my favorites.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot where once you've bonded, your scent changes a bit, or
you can get a blending. So I was reading a fic where, you know, Olu smells kind of like sugar cookies. He's an Omega, but because his Alpha is Jim, he sort of has kind of a blend of sugar cookies and orange blossom.
Yeah. And then with the steady hands ones, Steed's always, oh my God, the way that Ed and Izzy smell together, it's so good, you know, but. And so usually these characters have a scent that you can, depending on what the verse is, because sometimes you can't smell people unless they're in one of these compromising.
Rut.
Yeah, but
fuck me now, magic.
Usually you can smell what what is the secondary gender of this person and a general scent.
There's a softer, sort of subtler version of them. So you would have to get really close to smell it if they're not in heat or in rut.
Right. Once they go into heat, it's everywhere.
Slam, motherfucker.
Oh my God, I can't breathe.
And we're also horny.
And everyone has to get the fuck away from this person because the alphas can't help themselves. They get driven to just mate, you know?
Yes.
And so that's where scent blockers come in, or, you know, Omegas have to lock themselves away during their heats if they're not paired up with someone.
Which is also great fodder for angst, because then it's terrible and painful and they just really need to get fucked, but they can't. And
yep.
So much angst.
There's a lot of that with our flag news stuff being on a pirate ship. I know we talked about that last time, but everyone can smell everything that's happening here. And usually Steed is the last to figure it out. And everyone said, did you not smell this? Like, I just thought it was, I don't know, some cooking or something. You know, there's a lot of Steed not being the typical whatever, Alpha, Omega, whatever, not normal. He doesn't pick up on things he's typically supposed to, and you know, he so often as an Alpha doesn't realize such and such is an Omega, and everyone's how on earth did you miss that? But he's not driven by sex, and you know, he's a weird little guy.
He's a weird little guy.
Yeah,
I love him.
Yeah, the amount of fics where he doesn't realize Izzy's an Omega is wild, but it's so funny because we talked about
it's so funny.
Izzy is not typically what you would associate with an Omega, but
and I think there's something really interesting there, and I think we kind of gestured towards this, but we didn't really get into it very much in the last episode, where the idea of Omegaverse as a kind of critical parody of biological essentialism. And Dr. Omegaverse, would you say something?
Yeah. I mean, I have lots, because I think that's kind of where I put it in my head. It's exploring these things. So when we're talking about, you can see parallels from what we're talking about to some of the more weird, shady parts, right? Of how we talk about sex, right? And how we talk about gender. sex is in your physicality and sex is in what you do with your physicality. I think that part of the reason that I always view it as kind of this parody, exaggeration parody, is because it frames these things that are supposedly normal biological things in a way that they're not at all, you know? So you can feel really, so I think I mentioned the inherent eroticism of knowing that your partner is going to be with you forever,
Yes.
right? And be linked to you in some metaphysical way, and that's going to last, and no matter what you do, they're going to have some sort of unconditional positive regard about you, and they're going to be willing to work through any argument that happens. And that's a very charged thing, right? That's it. Something that provides a sense of safety that you can, because getting horny is a little bit about feeling safe enough to do so, right? But also in our society, the only thing that we have kind of that's in a similar vein is marriage. And for a lot of different reasons, marriage is really shitty for some people, right? Yeah. All of these things are shitty for some people. But in order to explore them, Omegaverse does this cool thing where it makes it so ridiculous that it doesn't trigger the same kind of, oh no, that's too close to reality.
Yeah.
So we can still maintain this enjoyment of it, but also not bump up against,
I think there's something, having that bond being sort of metaphysical, but also sort of biological, instead of sort of this social and cultural and legal construction, the way marriage is. So you often have sort of weird structures that have been built around that bond, but there's something about the bond itself that's, it's more, it's all very primal. It's all very sort of, and there's something, very, very animal about that, and something I think we often lose contact with the idea of ourselves as animals.
Yeah.
And I think there's something really satisfying in sort of coming back to that. I think that's why we also get the growling and the purring and all of these animal behaviors that they exhibit.
Well, like a marriage, you don't have people lie to each other, and with the bonding you can feel the feelings more, it's easier. You kind of have to be honest with each other.
Yes.
One of you knows something's off, and
it's taking a kind of a social construct and exaggerating it to the point of being a bit ridiculous, which is my favorite type.
Yes.
I
think one of because there is the parody aspect, but I think there are also, in terms of the way the bond is portrayed, I think there's something really attractive in sort of this idea of being known, and I think that's something that you often sort of get into with the bond, and I think that people kind of play with as well, because there's also the horror of being known.
Yes, yeah. I was actually I was at a party last night with this. Bless him. He's just why I hold out hope that he might not be entirely straight, but that's my own.
We can only hope.
Cross to bear.
White straight cis guy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he's got a Venom tattoo, as in Venom from the comic books. And I was just, you chose the queerest, horniest, tentacliest.
Yeah.
So fucking tentacly. Oh.
And he didn't even, and so I went off on half an hour worth of the inherent intimacy of being, well, I did say eroticism at the end of it, but the inherent intimacy of having a thing in your head that knows exactly what you're talking about and knows exactly what you're saying, and maybe judges you a little bit and is real with you, but also at the same time stays and commits to staying, and that is in it.
And the physical intimacy.
Yes, exactly. In your cells, in your kidneys.
Just
not
fully.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And getting into the weird vor aspect of it, sure. Yeah. And that's where I was going last, which I don't think that he expected. But that's okay.
Well, he fucking should have. He has a Venom tattoo.
He should have. Oh my God.
What was his response to this analysis?
He's a critical psych doctor, so his intellectual, and also the reason
has heard a lot of shit, I would guess. Has heard a lot of shit.
And the reason that I keep on holding out hope for him, also, he's probably gonna be listening to this podcast.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
That was your Venom tattoo.
I'm a man.
But he's always happy to talk about being super queer and super gay. So, maybe there's still time.
And how old is he?
What was his 40th birthday party, but 5 years late last night.
So 45.
Yeah, he grew up.
He's also the one that did a keg stand.
Oh, fun.
Bless
Cute.
his little heart. Yes, it was very cute. But
That's going to hurt at 45.
I think it hurt everyone around us. Because we're all, none of us are there anymore.
I think Gen X of the Restarby generation maybe come to queerness a little bit later because there was homophobia around the AIDS in the
Yeah, absolutely.
and there was such a stigma. And so they have their queer awakening maybe when they're 45, 50,
Yeah, I think especially for queer identities that are not just sort of binary one way or the other.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned briefly purring and growling, which was something
animalistic aspects. Yes, I fucking love. Okay, so this is a weird way to say it, but I love the animalistic aspects.
Me too, though. Yes.
Yeah, it's not about
animals.
The one with the Z X thing. It's not about wanting to
Xenophilia?
have. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not about
With an X, I think.
with the X.
Yeah.
It's not a Z.
Xenophobia.
Yeah, it's very different. Speaking of venom, actually.
Yeah, but it's about we are biological animal human being. Yeah, wait.
You probably meant zoophilia, which is a Z.
Well,
So you were
there's
entirely
an X
correct.
one and there's a Z one.
Yeah, there's xenophilia and there's zoophilia. And zoophilia would be
yes.
animals, and xenophilia would possibly be aliens. Thus venom.
Exactly. It's venom. That's venom.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
the circle comes right around.
Excellent.
But being so into sex that you don't intellectualize a way out of it, or get that moment that you break out of it and, oh wait, my body is a human body and I have thoughts and feelings and opinions and none of them are really great about my body. You don't have that when you're just locked into the heat.
You're just in it. You're so fucking horny.
Yeah.
And it's just that. There's just this sort of let's fuck right now. And I'm in it the whole fucking time, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to be. There's no other option. And that is inherently erotic.
It is. Yes. Yeah. And so inherently kind of liberating.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
if
it.
you're not familiar often in Omegaverse, alphas will growl possessively a lot.
And omegas will also sometimes growl.
Sometimes
Everybody growls.
Growling is a sexual thing.
Yes.
But my favorite is the alpha's growling because some other alpha is too close to his omega or whatever, because I'm into all that possessive shit. So I do.
It's a way to be into all that possessive shit, but in a way that's absurd and not real life, right?
Yes.
And I think that's the fun thing, right?
Unfortunately,
not to back you down. You can be also as you want to.
It would be in real life, except for that people who are guys who are possessive in real life tend to be abusers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So growling and then purring can be any of them, but it's usually when someone's, and it's often attributed to omegas when they're happy, and there's a lot of tropes where, oh, I didn't know that this omega could purr because they've never heard before.
Oh yeah, and especially with Izzy, where he thinks he's like a broken, fucked up omega who's not the other omega, and he can't purr, and he's just an angry little guy, and he doesn't need anything, and he doesn't need a nest, and he doesn't need to be taken care of. And then
it's not other girls.
Yes, exactly. Izzy as an omega is very, very often in that little not other girls category until
and then he's purring and he's what the
fuck?
Yes, and it's amazing. I love that. But that's another biological response.
And again, that's sort of animalistic.
It's a forced response that humans in this world can fake through, or if they're having a really good time,
Yeah.
I think that's occurring to me is that what makes Omegaverse satisfying is when it's in queer relationships. If Omega was in heterosexual,
fuck that.
I have occasionally encountered. I've seen fan fiction and even published fiction where it's Omega lady and Alpha dude. And go fuck yourself. No. I will set this on fire.
I get ads for that stuff all the time. Like werewolf ads.
No, thank you.
And some people must be into it because it's but
I don't even want to read about regular heterosexuals fucking. Why would I want to read about that? Jesus. No.
And the whole Twilight thing, is that not kind of what there. I don't know. I didn't read or watch any of that.
Nobody's in Twilight. Nobody fucks in Twilight.
Yeah, but they do have a fucking insta bond with a fucking baby.
Yes, but they also, so nobody fucks, but there is a lot of eroticism. A lot of eroticism.
When they get married?
Yes.
I mean...
And then she gets instantly pregnant.
Right, don't they break the bed or something?
Wait, speaking of breeding in Omegaverse.
Oh, yes.
Omegaverse and breeding king.
Yes, yeah.
That's a huge
Anybody
thing.
have anything to add about breeding? And I don't really care about breeding. I just fucking.
Well, with the Omegaverse in general, there is a lot of, because it's so biologically driven, there is a lot of the alpha just being, I'm going to breed you, I'm going to,
I want to put a baby in this Omega.
Yes. And that's hot to a lot of the Omegas and whatever. Yes. But with our flag means death, because I don't have children, is that they're usually too old to actually have babies, Yes. So there's a lot of...
is postmenopausal, but still goes into
breeding kink without the actual breeding, where we're going to try
that's
for
what
it
makes
anyway.
it hot.
Yeah. or talking about Izzy, telling him that you're going to get him pregnant, and he's so into it, even though everyone knows it can't happen, And I mean, that is a thing.
I'm 57, Edward.
Yeah, that is the thing that happens in our flag means that's outside of Omegaverse too, just where they're going to breed Izzy. But that's more of a Izzy specific thing, I think.
It's just very breedable, okay? It's very submissive and breedable.
And right now there's a breeding pregnancy something event. There's so many events. So many events.
Oh, there's an Omegaverse event happening right now.
But no, there's a pregnancy event that just ended.
Okay, who here is no on pregnancy? Okay,
it's a no. It's a no from me. It's a no from me.
I'm into
I can get into breeding kink so long as there is no actual breeding happening.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but you don't read the porn for its literacy. You read it for it's not a literal, it's not a literal.
Yes.
It's an idealized form of, it's a narrative device of how to talk about.
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. There we go.
Right. I'm not into the whole full-on pregnancy thing, but I could be into an Izzy being pregnant because Steed and Ed are taking care of him because he's pregnant. I could I don't want to read anything beyond that. I don't want to.
Okay, with some very remarkable exceptions, I do not want to read your child OC. I do not want to.
No, and nor should anyone write that. Maybe
you can write whatever you want.
Yes. Sorry, I should clarify that statement when we are talking about eroticism in Omegaverse. Please don't include your child OC. That's my own personal preference, but I fully support and love everyone who does the things that they want. That's it. But
follow your heart, but also please don't.
And actual pregnancy and stuff, it does come up in a lot with actual birth and whatnot, and that is the thing some people are into. That is not me. So
I will say,
I want to read about Ed being really fucking horny about the idea of knocking Izzy up, but I don't want to read about.
I want my kid fic separate. Than my horny fic.
Yes.
And that's not about me not liking people who write it. That's just because I need that separation.
Yes. No, same. I'm reading the horny fic to be horny. Yeah. And I don't need no thank you. No thank you.
Yeah. As far as I go into all that is the funny little baby twit fics. Not baby, but little twit fics where they talk about what a needy bitch Edward would be if he was pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Those are funny. So it's a comedy thing, but I don't want to, I'm not into anything beyond the let's get you pregnant kind of thing, and especially if it's with someone who cannot possibly get pregnant. That is the best. Yes. Because, it's just the whole idea of it.
I love how I always seem to attract the most anti-pregnancy people.
The scariest thing I've ever heard. Pregnancy, Jesus Christ.
Body horror. Full-on body horror.
For real.
I was at a barbecue with two pregnant ladies a few weeks ago, and lovely. They're very pleased to be having babies, but also they were, this is a nightmare. This is your body does things that you can't imagine. This is fucking horrifying. And these are people who want to be pregnant, who chose to be pregnant, who are excited to be having babies. And they're, this fucking sucks.
I know very few people who have gotten pregnant in their life, but it just blows my mind that this is something that actually happens to human beings and that they would want this to happen.
The majority of people want this.
I
don't get it.
No,
it's so scary.
And then it's over, and you have a baby.
And you have to
what do you do with the baby?
For the next 18 years of your life, Jesus Christ.
And then beyond that, they don't go away. I mean, some of them,
And you don't, no sleeping, no fucking, you can't drink coffee while you're, what the fuck? What the fuck? What am I supposed to do? I'll just die, thanks.
I will say, so personally, and maybe this might be too much information.
No, please.
I've become more willing to read about pregnancy and read about the kid fic and all that fun stuff after I got the hysterectomy.
I get that.
Because there's no sudden jump out of frame moment of, fourth wall just broke, and I thought,
yes.
Nope.
You can just read it and occasionally very comfortably think, ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way. It couldn't be me.
Right, and I think that's the Izzy too, is it actually can't be me, but I'm so horny about you telling me that you're going to put a baby in me. And also, with Omegaverse, it's not babies usually what they're saying, it's pups.
It is pups.
Yeah. So
which again,
much cuter
and makes it's not a human that you're talking about. It's just this imagined fiction of a thing that has fundamentally changed your body into something,
Yes.
Wait, do Omegaverse pics people actually have puppies? Litters of puppies?
It would be they would be human, but they call them pups, and it would be a litter.
Actually, I'm kind of okay with someone shooting out little puppies.
No,
there is
puppies together. That's a new idea for you guys to take.
It's not Omegaverse, but that absolutely does exist.
Yeah,
I can point you at a comic.
I will say that there are some areas of Omegaverse that are probably not what I would suggest anyone go out and read for fun. I would just label them as a
it
dead
depends.
dove.
I mean, it's
but you would
recommend the
specific that is possible, but it does have to come along with involving a dog.
Yes. I feel if you're the sort of person who would want that recommendation, you already know where to go, and you don't need any of us to tell you.
You don't need us to say it.
But no, it's just another animalistic thing to where I'm going to fill you with pups, or you're going to have so many pups for me, but it's not actual puppies. That's just the term they use for their babies,
Because there's sort of something about Omegaverse where it's sort of it's very much sort of kind of a fantasy universe that steps outside of sort of normal human biology in a lot of ways. And people can imagine a lot of different ways to do that. And people do. And this is why we get such a diversity of sort of imaginings when it comes to how bonding works and how, heat works and how, all of these things work within that universe. Yeah. It's sort of then human but non-human.
Going from that, we have, and we talked a little bit last time about how Omegas are treated secondary citizens. Often women were and still are, but there's a lot that are beyond the just porn stories that encompass things. Omegas having to be registered, Omegas having mates assigned to them, having,
an alpha assigned to you for your heat.
Yes, or breeding farms and that kind of thing where
there's a lot of dystopia.
Yeah.
It's very Handmaid's Tale, and so then there's a lot places they can go for their heat.
I would say I would push back against it's very Handmaid's Tale because Handmaid's Tale feels it could be possible sometimes. Whereas this specifically feels there's never going to be a way. But I exactly
It
agree
plays with
Ringa
it plays with similar themes. It plays with similar themes, but again, in that very fantastical register that you inevitably end up with in
which
Omegaverse.
I think makes it for me, right? That aspect.
Yes. That's what makes it enjoyable.
Exactly. Because if it was just some person writing 100,000 words about how they want to get married to this person and love them forever and have 12 children with them, and he's gonna mow the lawn and flip burgers for the family every year, I don't want to fucking read that.
No,
but I am gonna read it if they go into heat and
yes.
Has anyone here watched 30 Rock? This is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Not for a long time.
And there's a part where Jenna and her boyfriend, who are incredibly kinky and do everything fucking crazy, and they're doing this, what they think is a kink called normaling, and they're going to IKEA together and they're making dinner together and some of that, and that's not a kink, that's just
a relationship.
Like, you being in a relationship, and they're like, what? So you saying like flipping burgers and stuff? It'd be since we're doing this new kink called normaling.
Yeah.
A little breaking news. Reese Darby just posted on his stories. He appears to be, this is a Bigfoot reading a book carved into a tree. And then there's a river. He appears to be in sequoia trees.
Very nice.
California, that sort of area.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good job.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt with
it's very important breaking news. I hope he finds a Bigfoot.
He's communing with
there's a wooden Bigfoot. Yeah, I see. He's trees.
He's a Bigfoot hunt, and he has some new Cryptid Factor episode.
Oh,
very exciting!
Gonna finally figure out if Bigfoot is in fact an Omega.
Okay, so you guys could write.
There's many.
So Reese Darby is the Alpha, and Bigfoot is the Omega. Real person.
Damn right.
There's lots of kinds of Bigfoots. All right.
Yeah.
So they can't all possibly be Omegas, but this one in particular, sure.
Yeah.
But if you guys write the real person, Reese Darby, Omegaverse fic with Bigfoot,
getting into
send
all
it to
kinds
me.
Of areas that I
will read it.
Why don't you write it?
Yeah.
Why don't you write it? We're giving you the whole Cliff's Notes. We're giving you the Omegaverse, and now you just gotta dive in and swim. Dive in and swim, baby. You make it up as you go along. That's how it works.
I feel like if Rosie ever found out about this, we would all be sued.
I'll do our fault. Her husband got Bigfoot pregnant.
I feel Bigfoot is his hall pass.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Oh my god. Okay. What else is on the list of?
Oh, we talked about pack dynamics. Does anybody want to say anything about pack dynamics?
It's a way of talking about family, though. That's new and interesting, and
I think that ties into found family as we see it in our fans a lot. Yeah.
But going back to the hamburger flipping, comment that I made before, I don't really, when it's not found family, when you run into this with Teen Wolf a little bit. Styles has a bio dad that's raised him, right? And is single dad. And if it was just that, if it was just this conversation, it was a fic about how his dad is always going to be there and is his dad. Sure, cool. That's
cute. Whatever.
And also put it in, he now has to, I don't know, make executive decisions about his son's life because, he wants his Omega to be his son, who's Omega. Wow. To go to college, I do not.
Yeah.
But it's a way of talking about family relationships that's weird and interesting enough and absurd enough to not hit on the weird triggers, but also be a really interesting story. Yeah.
The two fandoms that I'm most into, Avengers and Arf Meets Death, have already a team or crew, built into the world.
Found family is already a huge aspect of this.
So it makes it easy to have a pack Omegaverse has where they're all connected somehow. They're all part of a family. They are all protective of each other, and it's often not a sex thing, but
Yeah,
You never know. It's a very horny universe.
it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, and there are a lot of things that happen with that too, where, you'll sometimes get sort of tie-ins to the idea of a shared scent. So just you can get a blending of the alpha and the omega scent. There's often sort of a shared through line in the sense of sort of the various pack members. So there's sort of something underlying, something that sort of identifies them as pack.
And it, in the sense, is something that calms the members of the pack and makes them feel safe. And that we talked last time about
nesting. Nesting, yes.
When the Omega gets a piece of clothing from everyone or something, so that they have all the scents of the pack around them,
and they feel safe.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, nesting is such a big thing in Our Flag Means Death, because there's so much fabrics, discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
We look also, Alpha or Beta Steed being, oh my God, Izzy needs a nest.
Oh yeah.
I am the fine fabric man. I
always
have
providing
got
a great
this.
nest. Yeah.
Yes.
Whether they want it or not.
Opulence.
Yes, nesting.
Yes.
What else? Cute. What else is on the list?
So we had growling and purring. We had use of alpha and omega as titles, which is just a very small, horny thing where you call your alpha, and they get really horny about it.
And it's a different vibe than calling your husband.
Yeah. Oh, it is
so different.
Yes. No, it is aggressively horny, and
also
because it's
take that horniness back to whoever's calling their husband. Because okay. It will brighten your day. It will clear out your skin.
Or because think about that, when it's a straight couple, that's more weird. Oh, I don't know. It's creepy.
Ownership.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
Gross.
The vibe of it in Omegaverse is I'm calling you Alpha Master almost. Or
often very much daddy. It's very daddy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. So
it's a similar vibe with what we were talking about last episode of that weird alpha male incel fucking wild bullshit. It's kind of almost got the same origins, but in Omegaverse, we've decided to be just, we're going to grasp at the horny bits of this and make everything else absurd.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we're going to try and reclaim this wild bullshit that you're doing over there with your straightness and your weirdness, right? And we can still find the horniness inside this.
The joy and the queerness.
Yes.
And yeah. No, absolutely. Yes.
It is good because it's queer.
Yes.
Straight, it's not good.
Yes.
That's
as in people
just
might
forever, always.
Yeah.
But not to say that it can't be, just to say that it's often done in a way that is creepy,
Well, I'm sure that there are people who, unironically loved 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Yeah.
And also
every middle-aged housewife.
Exactly. So maybe if it was straight Omegaverse, that might resonate for some people,
I think we just need to get the housewives better porn.
Yeah, that's a given.
But again, no shame. Whatever porn you're into, be into it. You're not hurting anybody. You're reading a fucking sexy novel. Get it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I opened the list now instead of you repeatedly. I think besides the very last thing, maybe the only thing we haven't covered is Slick, which I can't believe we didn't really get into last time.
Yes.
Such an important thing in Omegaverse. Carly, do you know
Listen.
what it is?
So the idea that your orifice becomes extremely wet.
It's very okay. When an omega goes into heat, really get a bucket and a mop for this.
Right, and it's a problem anytime they're turned on.
It can be.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Like it is
here on their
everywhere.
trousers.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They can. There's in almost every Omegaverse fic that is porn, they will feel it running down their legs. They're so wet, and then the alpha is constantly, "You're so wet for me, Omega." You know,
lots of squirting.
Oh yeah, so much.
It's a very wet kind of porn.
Yeah.
And I think
this is wet as Connor Neal's kisses.
Yikes.
I mean, I think this is part of, again, there's something very tactile, something very sensual about the way that sex is written in Omegaverse because of this focus on wetness, on the tactile experience, on the physical experience, on the smells, on, smell, taste, touch,
and
fluid.
Yeah, with the slick, it can be a very horny thing about you're so wet already, or you're just gushing for me, but it can also be very, with those alphas, incel type alphas, it's a biological response too, which, comes up in a lot of Omegaverse where the alpha is kidnapped or whatever, and it's just because my body's reacting doesn't mean I'm enjoying this necessarily,
I think as well, it's also testament to the fact that a lot of the stories that are written definitely on the archive and probably in most fan fiction spaces are stories written with people who have, vulvas and vaginas and cunts rather than people. It's not porn made for someone who has a dick, right? And talking about it's an exaggeration of a sexual response that one would have if one has a
cunt.
Right.
Cunt.
Well, I could see with penis having people, it is a fantasy about how someone responds to them.
Yeah, but you have to be a penis person that has lots and lots of experience with a cunt, which some of them do, but some of them don't,
Yeah. It's interesting. That's interesting to bring up.
Yeah. No, and I think there's something very kind of holistic about the way that sex is written, and I think this is in fan fiction broadly, but especially in Omegaverse. And part of it is sort of the physicality of it and the groundedness of it, and part of it is sort of those kind of emotional aspects where you are sort of engaged. Even if it's just straight up porn, you still have more of those relational kind of elements, and you still have more of those emotional elements that I think, I don't know, for me, a lot of just, regular filmed pornography, it does not turn me on. It feels very anatomical. Those are certainly that's a pair of genitals mashing together. They're smushing right together, and we have got a close up, and I feel I should be taking notes. Maybe are we making like some observations?
There will be a quiz and diagrams.
Yes, exactly. And so the mons pubis is here, clitoris down there.
That doesn't exist.
There's the urethra. Yes, no, exactly. But yeah, and so, but with kind of erotic writing and things in Omegaverse, there's just, that kind of engagement where I can actually get into it. Yes, this is horny. This is genuinely horny, and not just blah, 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 blah.
It's because you're putting the emotionality and the relationality back into the eroticism instead of trying to sterilize it or remove it, right?
Yes.
We don't, whatever, I'm sure that just manual stimulation is fine for some people, but you have a brain and you have it for a reason.
Yes.
And it has to be in the sex too.
Yes. If
or
it's
else
not,
it really work.
No. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening if the brain is not engaged.
You're just dissociating into the void. Yeah.
So that's
not that I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Theoretically, hypothetically.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
God. So this probably shouldn't go in the podcast in the final, but I did have a class conversation once with a bunch of people in my program, right? And maybe they'll listen to this probably. Anyways, and we were having a conversation about desire and sex, and some of the straight men were just, the first time it should be some powerful moment for the women, right? And all of us were just, no, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And then there's completely
flabbergasted.
What? Well, yeah, actually.
Because we don't have sex education in this country.
And yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this should stay in the podcast because I think that's a valid observation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm calling out all of my fucking classmates, my dudes.
You're
Kevin was not part of that one. I would just to be.
Okay.
Since I've named one of them, Kevin. I've actually physically named one. I will say that is not the one.
You want us to put a clown honk noise over the name?
Maybe.
Just blank it out.
Amazing. Yes. Oh, Jasper, you had added the idea of alpha and omega mixers and mating runs as a normal thing that society does. Did you want to?
Mating runs are some of my favorite ones.
Tell me about mating runs.
Oh yeah. So it's a community organized event that happens however many times. And you have to
like
register.
The neighborhood yard sale.
Exactly. You register and then you show up and then you take all of your clothes off.
Hell yes.
Just run through the woods and either the alphas hunt down omegas or the omegas hunt down alphas, and then they just have wild sex in the middle of the fucking forest. It used to be so a lot of my introduction to Omegaverse was through Teen Wolf, and it is a lot more prevalent in Teen Wolf than other spaces, probably because you can't have a mating run on a ship.
In the middle of the ocean.
Or can you?
I was going to say, this feels a challenge.
Yeah. Everyone gets on their dinghies.
Yeah. Start fucking rowing.
Made row.
Yeah. So there's an island where the mating runs happen.
Oh yeah.
Those
when people come in with the boats and have the races with the boats.
Or salmon spawning.
What are they called? Or salmon spawning.
This is just reminding me of the most dangerous game at this point when we're going to the island to chase down omegas.
Every year, everyone just drops off their alphas and omegas on the specific island in the Caribbean. And then
usually there's betas roaming around to make sure that people have snacks and
water bottles.
And water bottles, and no one's gotten lost. No one's
a little pack of bandages.
Yes. Beta's got the water bottles and the towels.
But it's
polysporin.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I think it's playing with this. What if society didn't have such a huge disconnect over what our bodies should and shouldn't be doing?
Yeah.
Right? What if this was not only this wild, over exaggerated aspect of biology? What if this was actually a thing that was celebrated? What would it look if sex was treated so fucking fundamentally different that we had to organize around it and come as a community to make sure that it happened? That feels
come as a community.
The community.
Jizz as a community to
yes. Okay, so I haven't encountered mating runs, but what I have encountered, especially I think I only started reading Omegaverse in the context of OFMD because I think I missed the sort of inception of Omegaverse, and so basically I came back into fan fiction with OFMD and was the what now? The what?
You didn't read Teen Wolf?
No, I had encountered some of it because my drag mother was obsessed with it, and so she had told me about Omegaverse, and so I had read there was a big New York Times article about a weird lawsuit connected to Omegaverse.
That one. God.
Yes.
Oh, what's the lawsuit?
There was a lady sued a bunch of people because she thought she invented Omegaverse. Or Dr. Omegaverse.
She decided that she was the one who invented it, and so she had a copyright on it. And so every person who had ever published anything or put anything on the archive was given a cease and desist. And it got so far to the Supreme Court. So she explained to the Supreme Court of the United States what an alpha's fucking knot was.
That's so typical.
We should have buried the lead here. Started off with this.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yes.
The little 15-second clip at the beginning where we had to explain this.
Okay, so
how long ago was the Supreme Court case?
Oh gosh,
who were the
2010s somewhere, wasn't it? It was the 2010s. So are we saying Omegaverse episode 3?
I mean, honestly, I feel we could talk about it all day.
Oh, listen, if we want to get into this court case.
So Fanlore has an article about it.
Yes.
I'll send it to you in the chat so that you can even link to it if you feel the spirit move.
Yes.
So Ruth Bader Ginsburg knows that
knew what Omegaverse was.
Yes.
Thank God she went to her grave understanding what Omegaverse.
Yes.
But
what kind of a life would it be if you
what
didn't
did the Supreme Court find?
Oh, that she didn't fucking have a copyright on an entire genre of literature.
Yeah. Saying Mary Shelley science fiction, right?
Exactly. It's saying, hey, actually, I wrote a story about ships that are alive, so no one else can.
Okay, except it wouldn't be Mary Shelley making that claim. It would be someone, Isaac Asimov or somebody.
Exactly.
You know, no, you can't write this. And it's they weren't even the first ones.
Exactly. They weren't the first one. They weren't the ones that came up with it. And if they want to cop to that, then
Jane Austen being you cannot have a romantic story with comedy about two people having understandings.
So some crazy shit. But so that was my awareness of Omegaverse before coming into the Our Flag Means Death sort of fan fiction sort of space. So it took me a minute to get into Omegaverse. It was basically I had a friend who was writing it, and I was like, okay, I'll read my friend's shit. And I was like, okay, I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with this. But so I haven't encountered the mating runs, but what I have encountered is quite a few, especially modern AUs, that involve essentially dating agencies that are set up. So you can find an alpha for your heat or an omega for your rut. And in fact, one of the fics I recommended last time, Cuffing Season by Steve Bunnett, has basically Lucius going to one of these mating services to be, I need a submissive little alpha who will let me tie him up. And that's Izzy.
That's okay. That's the stinger to a comedy, a Seinfeld or something, you know?
That's Izzy. Yes.
All right,
Yes. So, oh God, what else? Do we want to just talk quickly about Omegaverse Bingo and then yes, possibly call it. Okay, so yes, there is an Omegaverse Bingo event taking place right now in the Our Flag Means Death fandom.
August 1st, so I imagine
starting.
Oh, you know something that I completely I'm gonna distract for a little bit. So Omegaverse shares a lot in common with the Sentinel and Guide. So the Sentinel and Guide stuff was one of the of fan fiction history, because it was built on a very fucking gay Sentinel, which was one of back when we had conventions and we passed around zines instead of online, right? The Sentinel was a very popular TV series for fans because it's this hypermasculine cop who can all of a sudden hear and see and taste, and all of his senses are much higher than usual. And then he runs into this flowy-haired little academic boy, Twink. And then in the second episode, they've moved in together, and it's hot. It's hot, and it's just what, how are you straight? You're not straight. You're not even pretending to be straight. But yeah, so Sentinels are people who can their senses are exaggerated, right? And they can zone in to a sense so much that they dissociate from everything around them. So they have guides that can pull them back from that. So Omegaverse, I think, has a grounding in that as well.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this show before. Sentinel.
Oh yeah,
was it like the 70s or something?
Yeah.
No, was it the 70s? I don't think it was that long ago.
Yeah, it was 96.
Yeah, the 70s.
It was 96.
I've never
basically the 70s.
I had never heard about it, but a friend of mine was really into it, so I heard about it through her, but I never watched it.
Here, I will put this image that came up in chat so you can understand the twinkiness of Blair Sandberg.
I need to see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was never into Teen Wolf, but I was in the Supernatural fandom, but I never really got into Omegaverse.
He's a little Twinkie boy.
That is a twang.
Oh, yeah.
That is
yeah. And the
one in the
middle,
white shirt with the
one in the white shirt.
Look at him.
Yeah. In the middle is the super cop who's a sentinel, and the one.
By which you mean this is the cast of a gay porn. This is the cast of gay porn.
That's what we said.
Yes.
That has been what we have been saying since
Okay, white shirt is positioned between big white guy's legs.
Yes.
And then
this is an official photo shoot.
The black
for this gay porn
has his arm underneath the white actor, and their shoulders are overlapping
because they're both about to rail that twink.
Yes.
There's no heterosexual explanation for this.
No.
They not only do they, on the second episode, they move in together, and also I'm going to spoil the series for you. Whoopsie daisies.
Please.
They realize that they have the twink and the buddy cop realize that they have become soul bonded, and they are the perfect soul partners for each other. And that is a major factor of the final fucking series cliffhanger, is because cop dude gets a girlfriend who's a guide, but she's not the perfect guide. and she's evil. So there's no heterosexuality here. There's no.
I don't know. It sounds super straight to me. Sounds straight to me, bro. Yeah, so straight, bro.
So
heterosexual.
There's so many
Live
90s
together.
shows that are so gay, but they weren't supposed to be, but they are. Yes.
Well, you have to. Okay, every writer is gay. I don't care what anyone says. Every single that is ever written is gay.
Can confirm.
You get hired to write things, to write TV shows, so that have to be straight. But you're gay, so you're going to write it gay. And, that's why everything that's supposed to be straight is gay.
Yeah.
So anyone who's creative at all is just gay.
That's true.
That's a requirement.
It is.
Look at any post-Hays Code film. Gay.
Yeah.
So gay.
So
And then when you look at pre-Hays Code films, gay, explicitly gay.
Yes. You're goddamn right.
And the Hays Code, by the way, was started to be rigidly enforced in
1930s. Yeah.
And it was enforced until the 60s.
The 60s. It was the 60s. Yeah. And
was
continued to have a significant influence even after it was lifted. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just down the hole of looking at pictures of these fucking gay.
There's a gay man.
My roommate for a long, long time is still a very good friend of mine, and she would be reading Sentinel fan fiction on WordPress and fanfiction.net.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the
I
live
did not know about this
era.
TV show. I mean, this was X-Files era, so I was
Yes.
I was
This
into
was-
X-Files at this time.
Same.
X-Files had a lot of stuff going on because Mulder and Scully, right? Sure. And Sentinel, I think, was where all of the gays ended up.
Yeah.
Not to say that there weren't gays. Obviously, we already covered this. They were very
I
creative.
gotta say,
so
I
they
think
were
there's
gay.
something
I
really
just
gay
like-
about Mulder and Scully.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, yeah,
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I saw a meme recently that said, a boy and a girl can be gay for each other so long as their genders are weird enough.
That was mine.
That's Mulder and Scully.
Exactly.
Yeah. True T
Yes.
for T representation. Yes.
Yes. Also, I mean, listen, I watched it for Scully. We all watched it for
Yeah.
And again, incredible bisexual show. Show. Look at all these people that I could fuck. Look at all of them. You've got Skinner, who's the daddy. You've got the weird, sensitive golden retriever asshole Mulder, and you've got Scully, the perfect woman, the perfect. Yes, incredible bisexual.
And monsters that we're gonna.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of monster fucking. A lot of monster fucking.
A lot. Yeah.
Okay, so there is an event August 1st through August 31st. First, Our Flag Means Death. Slick and slide.
Bless.
Yes.
Bless.
So the Twitter is at OFMD Slick and Slide, and it's an OFM. Oh my god, I can talk. It's an OFMD Summer Omegaverse bingo event being modded by a couple of people. Ship Hits the Fan and Bailey by Design, and so they've got 3 bingo cards that if you guys want to take a look, we can see. Oh, there are lots. Rejection Sickness that we didn't get into.
Fuck, we didn't even talk about that. Oh,
Okay,
no.
so we definitely have to do a third episode.
There is so
Make a
much.
list from this.
I swear
actually-
to fucking God, you guys, we could do a whole podcast just about
On-
Megaverse.
Let's do a third episode, but we won't do so much
Yes.
bullshit at the beginning.
Yes.
I don't
That
think
was
that
my
that's
fault.
possible. Are you kidding me? There's got to be bullshit at the beginning. That's
I
what
take
people
full
look for.
responsibility for the bullshit. It is my fault because I am, as I said earlier, a fucking chaos demon. Yeah, no, because let's do another episode just because, man, there's so much shit to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm trying to scroll back up so that I can get the graphic of the inside stuff that you posted. But
It was in there just last night, but then we talked a bunch.
If you go to Twitter, you can just go to the at OFMD Slick and Slide, and then you can see the bingo cards.
I would have have a Twitter.
Oh yeah.
There. Okay.
No, you don't have to.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
If
Wait,
you Google
wait.
Twitter
Here.
Slick and Slide, you'll be able to see it, even if you don't have a Twitter.
Ooh,
But
it's got an event hub.
it does. Our Flexing Zeth has more events as a fandom than anything I've ever, even Marvel.
It's
You know what? We haven't even. Okay, so this is a thing in Teen Wolf, but not. I don't know if I've encountered it anywhere else. But the Alpha for Alpha,
Oh
but
my
they have
God.
to be.
Okay, yes.
But they have to be presentable to society. So one of them has to find an Omega, and then you have an OTP.
Okay, so listen.
OT3.
Okay, pause everything new that we haven't
Steady
covered.
hands.
Everything new we haven't covered that's coming from these bingo cards.
Okay.
To the next one.
We're saving it for the next episode, and we can talk more about that lawsuit because that
We're
was
gonna make a list
crazy.
from the bingo cards. Yeah.
Yes.
And then we'll have Rex from the bingo event
Yes.
to post.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're into Omegaverse, there will be a lot of good stuff coming up for you.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Do you want to host the third episode, Tessa?
I can absolutely do that. If you're happy with my chaos hosting this time, I can chaos host
other people to host this so bad. I want
I love it.
to do podcast
You
episodes.
started this monster and now you're letting me out.
I love I love talking and I love screaming nonsense. So please, yes, I will do it. I'm in anytime. Yes, I will
We'll just
do it.
have a spin-off of this entire podcast series, and it can be our
Seriously?
Omega fictions. And we'll just spin off so it gets so ambiguous that it's just like incomprehensible.
Oh my God. Increasingly specific. Okay. Do you guys have any fic recs for us this time?
I do. I have 4 of them down from my 5 last time.
Hit me, Ringa.
They are study hints and all the pairings within it. So
Nice.
I got it down to 1 per pairing, sort of. Okay. The first one, I'm going to send all these to you, Carly. To put in the thing. The first one is a steady hands, but it's Disney-centric, and it's called The Way You Get When by him, Hymn, who writes the most delicious filth. This is one where steady hands are a pairing. They're together. But Izzy's mate is Edward. So he's not mated with Steed. And he's going into heat right after a raid. And Ed sends Steed and Izzy back to the Revenge so they can get started on all the heat stuff while he takes care of the rest of everything. And at this point, Steed hasn't bonded with Izzy, and they're both doing the thing where, oh, but I thought you didn't want me, and oh, but I do, but I thought you didn't want me, and that kind of thing, because Izzy gave Steed a courting present, and it's a knife, and Steed thought that was a threat rather than a present. And
courting presents. I'm going to put that on the list.
Yes, on the list. So this story is all about Steed and Izzy bonding and making their part of the Steady Hands trio official. So it's a yummy one. Yes. Okay, and then I have one called Tell Me That You're All Right. Yeah, Everything Is All Right by I Will Be Your Pet. This one is about Ed and Izzy are a bonded pair, and everything has happened on the show in the beginning. It has, but Izzy's sick of being on Steed's ship and sick of Steed because he's been getting too close to his alpha. So in this fic, Izzy's, I want to go back to our ship. Let's leave here. I'm losing my mind because you're not paying attention to me. And Ed's, oh, okay. So they leave the Revenge. And when they get back to their ship, Izzy almost immediately goes into heat because he hasn't had one in a while. And he's, it's very sweet and it has porn in it, but it's Ed, Izzy, and they're being very nice to each other for once. But it is almost canon compliant till the point where the Omegaverse happens. And then this one is called Lord My Body Has Been a Good Friend. It's by M to the Destiel, and this is a Gentlebeard fic, and it is about Ed is an Omega, he's going into heat, and Steed has built in his auxiliary wardrobe a nest that you can pull up the floorboards, and there's a nest built into the room so that you can put all your bedding down there and stuff and build a nest.
Cute.
And he made that with scent-proof walls and stuff in case a crew member went into heat and needed it. And so this story is all about Ed wanting all of Steed's silks and cashmeres and stuff for his nest. And, you know, they spend the heat together. And this is kind of before they're involved, but then they're involved. So, but it's very sweet. It's a very sweet one. And then the last one is Do As the Devil Pleases by Multi-Fandom Homo. And this one is just filth. It is a Disney one where Omegas have to, on their 25th birthday, if they're not mated and bonded, they have to go get a checkup with an alpha doctor who deals with Omegas, and they have to have a full physical checkup every 5 years, which is just another one of those things that happens in Omegaverse a lot to Omegas. And Steed is the doctor. Izzy is the Omega who's going to have his checkup for the first time. And of course, these checkups involve every fucking sexual thing you can imagine, you know, putting things in him, stimulating him to orgasm, stuff that. And
for his health.
Oh,
yeah.
No, it's a very health focused preventative care.
This one is very like
holistic.
Dub Connie, of course, which a lot of Omegaverse can be, but Izzy's having a good time. I'm not sure he wants to be, but also in this one, Steed goes a little beyond. There's some stuff that happens that Izzy's, I don't know, is this part of the exam? Because I've never had one before, but you know, it's got everything. It's got, you know, and there's spanking in it. So, you know, Tessa, you're all in. So that one's just 7,000.
out.
Delicious. Oh, if anybody knows Tessa,
I know, right? Calling me out on a national podcast.
Two things you think about when you think about Tessa. One of them is nipples, and one of them is spanking. This is your legacy.
I have made this nest for myself, and I will not.
You have nested in this nest.
I've nested in this nest.
In fact, there's a friend of mine who's a vendor at Comic-Con, a full-time vendor, and she met Tessa at SuperCon last year. And anytime I bring up Tessa around her, she's, oh yeah, the nipples, the pits. Yeah, I don't know. Because what Tessa was wearing when Christine met her was basically, it was some kind of a jacket, but nothing under it. Do you remember this? You didn't have a shirt or a bra on underneath the jacket.
Okay, so well, wasn't it? Wait, was it? I think no. So because it was a button-down shirt, but I hadn't done any of the buttons up, and then I had just tied it in the front, kind of. Had I? Was that it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was.
My tits are out a lot.
It was very much. If you look at Tessa head on, it's fine. But then if you turn to the side,
listen. Every queer in my has seen my tits. I'm just
complaining. Yes. And I
You
looked
are
up.
welcome.
The first time I ever met Tessa in real life, and I looked up and saw the side boobs. It was Tessa.
It's true. You and multiple other people did recognize me from my tits.
And here we are.
Yes, here we are.
Yeah, start off strong.
Yes, exactly. To make a strong impression. Okay, so I'm just gonna recommend one this time. I'm eking them out because we're doing a third episode. So this time I'm going to recommend Heat by Can You See Me, which is basically where Izzy has been secretly an Omega for years, and he goes into Heat. And Steed is, ooh, I'll help you through this. And then Ed is, what the fuck? So, yes, it's porn. It's porn. It's pornography, dude.
Pornography.
It is pornography, everyone. Okay, Jasper, do you have any recs for this time?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of them aren't. The ones that I have aren't Our Flag Means Death, but I do have some that I just very much enjoy.
What it sounds to me is that you need to read some Our Flag Means Death Omegaverse.
I do.
You have a lot of good recommendations.
I do have a lot of recommendations. Yeah. But I have two.
Okay, yes, hit us.
Okay, cool.
That's great. That's great.
One is, and I am very sorry, is hockey.
Oh, no, I love that. The hockey Fs are
actually really fucking good. Really good.
Wild. Yeah, they get really fucking
Is that Hawkeye and Bucky?
No.
No.
Hockey! Hockey!
The
yes, okay,
Hockey
sorry.
League of the United States of America and Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I understand now. I understand
cool.
now.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. I actually, I'm not gonna lie, I almost really got into hockey because one of my favorite authors started writing about Sid and Gino, who are on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I...
Okay. Is that Sidney Crosby?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am Canadian. I don't care about hockey, but I am Canadian, so I do know their names.
Well, I'm in Pittsburgh, so I have to
You
know
have
who
to
the
know a little
Penguins
bit.
are.
I am into hockey, but
I'm in Calgary,
like,
and yet I don't know the same name of a single fucking Flame.
boy, I couldn't tell you that. But yeah.
So the first one that I have is hockey. And this one it's very plot focused and world building focused.
Okay.
There is a bit of porn in it, but
It's Omegaverse.
it's a mix. There's a bit of it, but it really does the world building really well, and I just really love it. And it just characterizes a lot of that. So what is it? Is it Jamie Bean and Tyler Seguin? If either of those two people are listening, they shouldn't read it. Nor anyone who knows them shouldn't read it.
Unless you're into that.
Unless you're into that, and I'm not judging you.
We had a whole thing last year with
Do what's in your heart.
Reese and Steve, where Steve, do you remember this? Where his buddy Steve, who he's touring with, threatened to read out some Reese Darby RPF, and the whole fandom went nuts.
Yeah, I can feel my soul dying.
Yes.
Well,
no, it's just
yeah.
the asshole involuntarily clenching. It's
Yes. Yeah.
Right, and that's
Don't do that. Don't do that.
He got real up in arms about how this shouldn't be read at all or written at all, because it exists somewhere that her children might see, and tell them not to search for their daughter of her own. Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah. And also, in this day and age,
it exists.
they're not special. They're not the first.
No. And I feel, look, if you're on AO3 and you're scrolling through the tags and you
see your name,
your father's name, you're closing the tab.
They probably wouldn't even be looking up our
closing the tab
at all.
I'm turning off the computer.
I'm burning it in a fire. Yes.
Someone I was related to was in one of these shows.
Throwing it into the sea.
No.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Anyways, so if you're a hockey player, please don't. But the fic that I am going to recommend is Kingsmaker by Elisira. And it's a lot of world building and really, really cool world building around Omegaverse culture, in which one of them, Jamie, Tyler, one of them is the prince of a country who has a tradition that the Omegas, who are the princes, have to choose who gets to be the king based on a tournament that the alphas have to do to prove their worth as potential mates. And it features one of the key aspects of Omegaverse that I find really interesting, is that when an Omega is in heat, they are incredibly physically strong and able to kick at however many people's asses that they need to, which I think is a really cool aspect of it. So basically, two hockey dudes who aren't actually hockey dudes in this fan fiction, one of whom's a prince who can make a king be a king with the power of his cunt, which I love.
Hell yeah.
And it's just very lovely world building and just kind of cute and also filthy.
No.
And then the other one that I have is one of the classics in 2013 classics of Teen Wolf called Mix and Match, which is written by Jera Keen. And it's a pretty short one. Yeah, less than 1,000 words. And it's, I think, one of the first ones that I read. Sorry, I did not write this.
Oh,
Read.
Are you sure?
Very. But it's Styles who's fed up with the whole social aspects of all this stuff, goes to a alpha omega mixer where you're supposed to find your one true mate, and instead he's just rocking up to have miscellaneous sex with, because the chance of finding your one true mate is 1 in a bajillion. So he's just, okay, cool, I'll just take some condoms and get laid. That's fine. And then the bouncer at the event is Derek. Derek. Sorry. I'm used to reading his name and not physically saying. So yeah.
Yes.
And then they love each other. It's very cute.
And then they love each other.
Actually, Styles is just absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
And then they think about it and then say it.
Nice. Amazing.
I will link those to you.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I mean, Carly, do you have any Omegaverse?
No, I'm new to this, so I'm just gonna read through these all eventually.
Amazing. That is very fair. Okay. So anything to add before we wrap up? Jasper, what are you working on? Are you working on anything? I mean,
Like,
yes. Where can
Let's
people
not talk about
find you?
position.
Oh God, fucking mood, man. Honest to God.
Revisions. Again, I think let's just say find Harold's Haunt and Maud's Paper Wing Gallery, and you'll probably find me. But if you find me in other spaces, maybe that might feel weird for both of us.
Okay, respect. Yes. I got that. Ringa, how about you?
I will be at Steel City Con in 2 weeks, which is August 9th through the 11th or whatever that.
And you'll be there with a bunch of bookmarks.
I will be. Yep, which did arrive the other day. Thank you.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, if you're at, it came the next day. It was crazy fast. If you are in Pittsburgh or nearby and are coming to Steel City Con, come find my booth, which is in aisle H, I think. But I'm the one with all the pins and the bottle cap jewelry. You'll find me, and I'll be right next to Maud's Paper and Gallery, and there's going to be lots of Our Flag Means Death stuff there, and I will have bookmarks for you from this podcast
that are free.
So,
and then you could take some extra if you want to give them to your friends.
Yes. So come get free bookmarks and come talk to me about the podcast. If you listen to this podcast and you're going to come talk to me about this podcast, I'll be very excited. I get excited anytime anyone buys anything Our Flag Means Death on the show, especially if it's Izzy. I'm like, can we talk about Connor Neal? And usually people are like, oh, I'm buying it for my friend. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, come on.
Have some strength in your convictions.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, Carly, what about you?
I want to keep on encouraging people to buy my book, The Reckless Kind, about 3 queer teens in 1904 Norway. It's still out there in bookstores. And, oh God, what else? I've just been in the pit of rejection hell in Dreamland. So I got to get back to updating my AO3. So definitely check out my AO3 stories. I'm Yavid Jenkins on AO3. And I will be updating season 3 because, you know, if the publishing world is rejecting me, I'm going to give my art to the people who want me, which is the people on AO3. And if you enjoy memes and our flag related content, check out our Instagram, Our Flag Means Fanfiction, all one word.
How is Jasper the sheep?
Oh,
he's Jasper.
I did make a little video of him this morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as I play this, you have to narrate.
I'm looking at Jasper the sheep. He is a black and white sheep. He has a black head with a lovely white splot on the top. He is eating from a bucket of niblets amongst some hay.
Oh, look at that cute little face.
He's looking at us. He's chewing. Weird eyeballs.
Yes, I was gonna say
the eyeballs are crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Fucking love goat eyeballs, sheep eyeballs.
All of them.
Yes.
All
yes.
of them.
Yes. I love it. Amazing. Yes. So I am Tessa. I am your friendly podcast ghost with great tits and correct opinions. And thank you so much, and see you.
Thank you for hosting, Tessa. You did such a good job.
Thank you.
Tessa, what a great job she did.
Yeah,
Lots
you
of
did
good jobs.
fantastic.